This is Dave Obita here with the Felon Show podcast. And this is Owen Pomana. He's actually quite well known. I've come to learn a few times in Navy circles, people who are in the Navy knew of you. Owen's done it all, man. He's been around the world. He actually went off the tracks a little bit there as well. So he's actually done a bit of time in New South Wales as well. But came out a better man for it. He's a man of God now. He's a preacher. He's still going around the world, going to all these places that he's served, and he's serving in another way now. He's serving the man upstairs. So thanks, Owen. Cheers for for jumping on, brother.
Yeah, ngamahi, brother. Thanks for the intro. I'm just like anyone else, brother. I want to live.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Many times in our lives where we want to give up and think, oh, what's this life about? But as for me, I'm grateful to be able to speak in any sphere of influence. So thanks for those kind words. But behind all great stories, bro, are people who can influence and can lead you in a way that your life becomes a testimony to kindness, to generosity, and as for me, I ventured into the world of is God real? So for me, I live my life according to some values and some principles, and I'm still rugged. I'm a rugged man serving the Lord.
Right. Yeah.
And so hence I like wearing jandals. I like wearing singlets, and bro, I'm a rugged person who's really enjoying my part of my life at the moment. You know what I mean? Serving communities.
Right.
Meet new people. I like meeting new people, and so you may be able to influence in some way. But I like hearing stories, man. I'm a person who thrives on hearing other people's stories and contributing towards somebody else's restoration.
Man, definitely. It's like I'm looking in the mirror, brother. Like I'm looking in the mirror.
But
I look a bit older.
You're better looking. I'm trying to get fit. I seem to put size more than I'd love to be like. What are you, like 75 kilos?
Oh yeah, bro. Maybe 60. Maybe ringing wet. No.
Snowboarders, if I put more weight on, I'm just gonna snap it every time I jump off the cliff.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. No, I lost a fair bit of weight actually. Yeah, bro. I was always into the bulkier, but I've gone through a bit of a phase now, you know. But thanks for jumping on, bro. Thanks for that introduction, man. Fascinating story, bro. Straight up, man. I'm blessed to have met you. Well, bro, if you can just start us off, man. You know, like, so you grew up here in New Zealand?
Yeah, we came from a little town in called Puketapu, which is in Napier. My dad was a shearer, was a nurse, and there's 6 kids. I'm one of 6. I'm the youngest. I'm less than a month from being 50, brother. So hence the old trying to stay alive stuff, bro, and trying to steward this what's left of my body. You know what I mean? Which has been through a journey.
Still looking 30, brother. You're still looking 30. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, we were like 4 kids. You know what I mean? Living on a farm, and I mean like living in outback rural Hawke's Bay, bro. We never had any shoes. We were bare feet. You know what I mean? And being the youngest, they reckon that you get you get spoiled. But I got all the hand-me-down clothes and all that sort of stuff, and we'd live basically off the land. We'd have ball up.
What was that like, bro? Living off the land, like compared to now? Do you miss living off the land, or do you miss that type of lifestyle, or if you're not still living like that?
Like that's what we lived on, farms, you know what I mean? And so like didn't really need anything that the world really sees now, the riches and the cars and all that sort of stuff. So we live pretty simple.
Quite content.
6 kids living in the tailing in 3 beds, you know what I mean? And my parents really couldn't afford to send us to boarding school, but the farmers looked after my mum and dad. They sent us all to boarding school. So us 3 boys went to a Māori boys college down in Palmerston North called Hatapaola Māori Boys College, and my sisters went locally here to Hatahoepa Māori Girls College. So we got an education, bro, that wouldn't have been possible on the salaries that my mum and dad were earning when they were young. You know what I mean? Young as have kids. So really grateful to get an education.
Yeah.
But for me, bro, I hated school. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I used to get whacked all the time, bro.
It
Smoking
was a
pipe.
bit rough down there in Napier.
Yeah. Oh, down in Manawatu, bro, down in
Oh,
parts
Manawa
north.
too. Yeah.
Yeah. And in my I always used to get whacked. There's the cane. I hated the cane. But anyway, my dad died when I was 15 years old when I was at school, and at that stage I applied to the armed services, Army, Navy, Air Force, and Police. I didn't
So
care
that's
which
when
one.
you got involved in that, was at
Yeah.
15.
Fifth form, yeah.
Yeah. Did you
And so
sort of just dive in head first into that's what you wanted to
I,
do?
for a way out. I don't want to stay in school. So
Yeah,
they have
bro.
these recruiter buses come through. And so I applied to all of them. And you wouldn't believe it, the Navy were drafting first. And so I joined as a seaman gunnery rate, firing guns like a Navy grunt, Army grunt, you know what I mean?
Yeah, bro. Yeah,
And
yeah. Okay, so you joined the Navy. So how old were you when you sort of actually were jumped on board?
just turned 17.
Oh, wow. And off to the
Yes.
Navy, huh?
And I was off to
Were
Auckland.
there many other Māori boys or?
Bro, the armed services are full of Māori boys.
Yeah, bro.
You
Trying to
know,
make similar
yeah,
stories, trying to make it out
yeah,
with the
yeah.
education or bit of
Up to
guidance.
Paula, yeah, a lot of people have been to boarding schools, end up probably making it into the armed services. So it's just really an extension of staying away
Yeah,
from home.
yeah, true that. Yeah, similar
Yeah,
regiments are quite strict.
yeah. So in the Navy, bro, I learned how to drink, I learned how to fight and chase
And shoot guns.
guns, blow things up. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Man, coming back to Napier, I can remember my mum and all the others families that knew we all joined. Three of us joined from here, from Hawke's Bay. And on our first return back to Napier, right, they would have been at the airport going, my son's coming home. It's going to be so great. But little did they know that three of us are so drunk,
No
right?
way.
Drunk as, you know what I mean? All in our Navy uniforms, the white uniforms. Our parents are waiting at the window, you know what I mean? Here comes our boys and our mate Gilray Mohi, right? He stands up at the top of when the thing comes open and he goes like this, and a big spew comes up right out of his mouth,
No way.
clothes, and our hats are sideways like this, and looking in the window going, oh my gosh, that's our sons.
Oh, no way. Oh, shoot that.
Oh, we were young.
Yeah, yep. Sort of like a ball, too.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
your 18th ball, drunk as.
You become mischief as.
Yeah. What did you sort of do during your first little tour, bro? Like, where did you go? Did you stay here in New Zealand
My
or?
first posting was to Irirangi, which is in Waiuru Army Camp. And at that stage, my brother was a grunt in the army, and he was expecting me to come down. So three of us came down. We got so drunk on the train, bro. Again, the mischievousness of the culture of the Navy.
Yeah, bro.
And the Master at Arms just tells us, welcome to Waiuru. Don't ever get in trouble. I don't want to see in my office. It'll be big trouble. Well, that night, bro, we're down at the place called the Golden Fleece. It's one of the local pubs where the army go down to. Right, all these good-looking medics from the army that were there. And I remember my mates like,
Oh, watch out. Owen's in the house. Owen's in the house.
Right, within 5 minutes, cheers flying everywhere, cups flying everywhere. Fellas fighting over his missus, you know what I mean? My brother's
Owen staring at his missus.
was going to his mate, like, yeah, and I'll meet my brother down here. He'll be down here somewhere. And I was on the dance floor with a chair going, we end up across at the Master at Arms office, within 24 hours, black eyes and ripped gear. You shouldn't even been here for 24 hours. Wow. And you've already ripped. And he goes, before I troop you, I just want to know one thing. Did you give it to the army?
Yeah, I'm sure he did, Bob.
It was to the Waiuru Army Camp. And then I got my first sea posting, which was to what they call a hydrographic ship, which they make maps, sea maps. And that was Monowai. So I started to travel on the Monowai and started to travel right up through the South Pacific. right up through the islands, right up through just basically just about towards Hawaii,
Right.
making maps on these ships. You know what I mean? Pretty cool
Oh,
stuff.
good. Yeah, no, that would
Yeah.
have been pretty cool, man. Had you had much experience on the sea before that, or?
Nah, man. So when you get your sea legs, bro, I like it's not all fun and games, bro. I've spewed up heaps, big waves, like just crazy stuff. But then I got posting to the HMNZ Canterbury, which was a frigate, a Leander class frigate. These are warships, awesome. And then I went to the Waikato, and then I did a posting across to HMA Cerberus, which is in Melbourne. Did a course over there, a missile course. And then I came back and I did my Navy divers course back in New Zealand. So I transferred from the gunnery branch to the diving branch.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you got your diving license and all of that. I've had friends that have gotten them, and yeah, it's quite dangerous down there, eh, man? Fucking diving deep.
Things in the water that go bump.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
And when it gets dark, there's things that bump into, and you go, what's that thing?
Yeah, bro. Yeah, and we'll never know. You'll never know what that was.
There's some big ugly monsters in the water, bro. And like, if you've never seen them before, come face to face with things like a shark or a blinging conger eel or a big manta ray, it'll freak you out, man.
Yeah, bro. Because it gets dark down there, eh? Past like you can't see nothing, eh?
Yeah, you gets really dark. Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
man.
wow. You see if anyone
But
died down
the
there? I've
neat,
heard some bad diving accidents. Pardon?
I said, but they need to go down and get the kindlers and the powers.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. Yeah, so, do you see many accidents down there? Because I've heard of people diving and passing away, eh, just from
Yeah,
not being attentive and
yeah. It can be a dangerous sport, just like any other sport. You have to learn how to the rules of the water. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
so, look, technology's changed these days, as and even with training and stuff like that. So the equipment that we used back in the old days, bro, is non-existent. It's old. It's
Oh,
probably
true.
like technology just advances, bro. And like I wouldn't know what they use right now, but I'd assume that would be real good stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you'd still be all good with the old stuff, true. You'd be in there.
Probably I'll use the old stuff, but it's like anything. If you don't get in the water, bro, and you think you can just go back to when you're like 17 years old, well, that's where you start getting into trouble. You
Yeah.
actually got to train, qualified, and practice and certain things. So for me, I kid you not, if I put a cylinder on my back, I'd be like a blinging floating whale.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
respect for the CA, respect for old Tangaro.
yeah. I think so.
Um, yeah, you should be right. Oh, cool. Far out. So you actually experienced quite a bit during your younger years in the Navy. Even me, man, I'm quite envious. Like I wouldn't have minded joining the Navy, maybe. Um, yeah, so you got to see the world, eh? You really got to see the
Yeah.
world, but it's also a bit rough and tumble. So there are, Navy guys are tough guys, I hear. What was sort of the camaraderie like?
Oh, it's a tight knit group of guys. Yeah, people always give you the in the Navy, and they make little jokes like you're a gay or something. Like, I'll be like, man, if there would have been a gay, I'm nothing against gay people, but if you'd have been gay on our ship, you would have been floating in the water. Know what I mean? But it's a
Yeah,
type of funny sort of humor with close knit guys, because like we'd have 25 guys in a small room, probably the size of this room
yeah.
here. 3 or 4, 5 beds. That's the old frigates above one another, so it's really tight community.
You'd
And
have to be, eh?
yeah. So it's like 250 guys on a warship. You know what I mean? And
Oh,
like my mum always used to say, "You gone to all these places? Did you go to this place? You go to a place?" All I could remember was the pubs,
yeah.
not the bars. I went to. I mean, I was like, "Oh no, I remember the bar."
Yeah,
But that's
bro.
culture.
Yeah, no, definitely the culture on. Explain more of the Navy culture if you could, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's
is it for the
teamwork,
faint-hearted, bro? Will the faint-hearted survive on the ship, bro? Or do they
bro.
sort of get weeded out in the training?
Yeah, there's a pecking order. I mean, depending what you're doing, obviously it's a hierarchy that goes through. And over the years, you obviously, you know, people aspire to you. You have to look after certain things, and depending what your rank is and what you're doing. But like as in a whole, like if you went overseas and then all of a sudden someone in a different branch, like a stoker, a marine mechanic, gets in trouble with someone at the pub, you've got problems with 250 guys. So like, it's not like you just some random guy beating up on some, you know, engineer. You if all the boys are there, you'd have to pick on 250 guys. So like, I've been places where a pub's been trashed. You know, all in once, all jacks up, they used to call it. But like, yeah, I've seen places destroyed, and then we'd basically have to leave the harbour. One of the stories, bro, when one of my last years in the Navy, I jumped ship in North Africa. There was 3 of us because we'd been at sea for about 12 weeks, and we were going to the Battle of Crete celebrations.
The Greek
Battle of Crete, where there's our 28th Malta Battalion, famous. Our people, you know, served in the Anzacs that served up in Gallipoli.
Yeah, very famous. Yeah, very well known. Brave men.
One went to was a place called Crete,
In Greece.
and they were outnumbered by the Germans who were falling out of the sky. They were like all the paratroopers are like little white dots. This is the recollection from the locals. A lot of the locals in Crete, bro, have got Māori names because our grand.
Sorry, is Crete in Greece?
Yep.
Oh wow, so they've got people with Māori names out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because a lot of our generation that lost their lives over there married the girls, and they had kids and stuff. So like, for us going up to there, they wouldn't take our money either. That was just a great privilege because of the name of the Anzacs, but especially the 28th Māori Battalion. And so like, there was a big colonel named Colonel Rommel or General Rommel, and when they were advancing up this road with their machine guns and their battalions, there was just a battalion of, or there was just a group of Māoris, and bro, they jumped up and they started to do a haka, and it was so ferocious that all these guys on the Germans on the gun emplacements, they bailed because these Māoris with their tongues sticking out were running. You were advancing towards them. They just left. So Rommel says this, bro, and it's a history. He says, "Give me a battalion full of these Māoris, and I'll conquer the world." And so I led a kapahaka group there, and so we did what we called a gun haka. And I'll tell you, man, the ground shook. You know what I mean? Because you could feel and the history of our people that were lost their lives and fought for our freedom. And so, yeah, man, special places like that. I've been to a few of them now, you know, where some of our people never came home.
Yeah, man, but they definitely left their mark though. They didn't make a home, but they left their mark for their people and their ancestors, you know.
Yeah,
That's a really cool story actually to hear that, bro.
Not a lot of people like war. Obviously, war sucks. You know what I mean?
Bro.
Different cultures and different people. And if you have a look at life now, my heart is towards just humanity. So, you know, people that live in nations, bro, will be just like us. They eat their food. They love their kids probably. They play with their kids. And maybe different sort of way of thinking, but like, you know, the reality of is people got to be kind in their heart towards their own race and people and their culture, obviously.
Yeah, love is definitely the highest vibration, man, the highest frequency. Yeah, man, when you put love out there, you get love back.
Yeah, man.
You know, my story, you know, is different to yours, obviously, but similar in a lot of aspects. But I'm very similar to you, as in, you know, we've come through it all now, and we're just all about love. Because when you've seen the hate and the darkness of the world, there is nothing else to defeat it but love. You know, you can't defeat darkness with more darkness, you know.
Yeah, life's a conversation. So like your life story and my life story could be the turning point for someone to actually stop and consider what is life in their eyes, because a lot of people can't look past the day, bro. Do you know what I mean? Because they've built strong towers or points within their head to say that life's not worthwhile living, or that they are disadvantaged, or they just don't know how to navigate through life, bro, because of maybe not having a mum or a dad or strong brothers and sisters or even a mentor to actually get alongside them and say, like, let's do life.
Yeah.
And so, like, you're going to meet people with different backgrounds and different histories. Some of the stuff you and I are talking about now, some people would even care about something like a thing called love, but like, and that's okay. You just meet people where they're at, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it doesn't matter
that's right.
with what you're doing or what I'm doing. You still have an opportunity to put your hand out and say, "Kia ora, bro, my name's Owen." All good. You don't have to agree to disagree. Just what you portray could be the lasting impression for someone to change.
Yeah, bro. That's I mean, that's definitely the aim of this podcast. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Say that again.
Not everyone's going to still like Owen Pomana, regardless of what they think I am, especially with my past in Australia. And it's understandable, bro. You know what I mean? And that's all good, bro. I'll apologize where I need to. Some things you just can't change, but I've definitely changed in my heart, and I'm not afraid to apologize for all the shit things I've done in my life. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll be the first to that, but it is what it is, you know?
Yeah. Oh man, thank you for that. Oh, and man, even just for me listening, bro. Man, I know the listeners are gonna definitely like listening to what you have to say, man. Definitely with your military experience and having, that under your belt, I guess, just gives you a huge different perception of the world than most. Just as going to prison gives us a different perception than most. I mean, your time in the military definitely isn't something everyone goes through.
Yeah, I know struggle, bro, coming out of the armed services too. If you imagine doing 20 years on something and you're looking after lots of people, and then after 20 years, bro, you come out, you have to get a normal job, and then all of a sudden some 17-year-olds telling you what to do.
Yeah,
When you've
right.
been very hard for a lot of people to make that transition, do you know what I mean? Because you used to being able to be in the place of being able to tell people what to do, to all of a sudden coming under something that's not like military.
Yeah,
A lot of
I
people
know exactly
struggle.
what you mean. Well, it's similar to prison in a way. Even prison, you know what I mean? Coming out from prison and having to get a job and sort of knuckle under.
Yeah.
It's sort of similar. Um, well, so 20 years in the Navy. So when did you sort of end up in Australia, brother?
So in 1997, bro, when I left the armed services, I got
Oh,
into
so
the
this was
sport.
after you left the armed services that you
Mhm.
moved to Australia. I thought I'd quickly say also, so even in my time in prison, I actually came across, not a lot, but there are some military guys that come through. And they say similar things, bro. They come back from their tours and they're just a bit lost. And they feel like their experiences and qualifications aren't really looked at as much in
No,
the working sense.
yeah, sure, man. Imagine serving your nation and coming back saying you suck, you kill
Yeah,
people, and it'd be
yeah,
like, whoa. And then you're saying like you stand and fight for freedom, for the rights of people, and then all of a sudden people say, I don't like your uniform, I don't like what you stand for, and these things happen. Do you know what I mean? And like I met guys that have been to Afghanistan and to different parts of the world for war, come back messed up. You know what I mean? Whereas other people would come back and they weren't phased by shooting someone, whatever. So there's different mindsets on
yeah.
people, and
Everybody's different. I mean, even when
yeah,
you look at the history of a lot of Oh, pardon, sorry.
I said some people can sleep at night and some people can't.
Yeah. Like even when you look at the histories of motorcycle clubs, in America, a lot were formed by ex military, who just came back and just were completely lost, felt let down by the government, and sort of went their own way. So I guess is that sort of what happened to you when you sort of were?
Oh no, so what happened with me, man? I got into the sport of bodybuilding and I represented New Zealand at national and international level.
Oh wow, so you're a bodybuilder as well.
Yeah, bro. I come out and I started competing because my two older brothers were world powerlifting champs, Wayne and Derek
Oh
Pomana.
wow. Is training huge in the Navy? Being in the Navy, is that sort of like every day you would have to train and have to?
I think it was yet again culture.
Yeah.
Most everyone touch rugby league. I play rugby league, and on the ships you play all types of sport, bro. Before you go out, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's always orientated, but there's also a big drinking culture. So as much as you drink, you've still got to get up in the morning and train.
Yeah, bro.
And so, I mean, you still got to do your work, can't get out of it.
Yeah.
And so, like, you're brought up under that premise, just harden up.
Yeah. Just a hangover.
Yeah, just get up and do your job. If you don't like drinking, if you can't do your job, then don't drink. And so, like, there's no way around it. Everyone would go to work whacked.
Yeah. Okay, so you got involved in bodybuilding?
Yeah, bro. I won my first regional competition at the age in the 70, 80 kilo class, Hawke's Bay, Poverty Bay, and then I went to my first international, which was the IFBB Australasia.
Oh, wow.
And then I won the South Pacific Champs and Naturals, and I went to the World INBA in America. And so I competed at 70 kilos in the Naturals, and I placed 5th in Las Vegas. But also fell in love, bro, with the most beautiful girl in Napier. And I said to my best friend when I went away, bro, look after my missus. When I come back, he was looking after my missus.
Oh, he's looking after her, right, huh?
This was the trigger. This was the trigger that sent me off the edge. And it was the bullet called rejection.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
And it's of my life. And when you trust people, especially like males, when we speak about things, some of the things are like, oh, you don't go tell no one, and like this. That's what best friends do, right? You can say things, and then all of a sudden you're like, when I got back, and my friend was banging my missus, and I found it hard to believe, and I found it out by somebody else telling me, bro, I think your mate's seen your miss. I said, no, I mean, you wouldn't do that, but it was true. So 2 days on the drink, and then I decided to confront that that story. And so I turned up at her place at 12 o'clock at night, bro. I knocked on the door. She answered the door and she goes, you know it's finished, eh? I said, yeah, no, I'll get all that. I'm not really here to see you. I'm here to see my friend. And she goes, you better go now. I'm going to call the police. I said, call the ambulance too. My friend, I'm not going to fight you. I said, that's okay. I'm here to give you a beating. And so I gave my friend a beating. I could hear the cop cars. I could hear the sirens coming. And then, bro, I walked up to this big cliff in Napier. I stood off the end of it. All I had to do was jump off it. One step, bro, all over. Drunk, nasty, swearing, all that sort of stuff, carrying on. Bro, and I chickened out after 2 hours. It was too high. So I walked home, man. And then in the morning, I thought, Napier sucks. I don't really want to be here. My friend rang me up. He'd heard what had happened. He goes, I'll come down to Ohakuni and I'll get you a job at the door at the powder keg there, and we'll just go snowboarding. I went, oh, yeah. So I left Napier with my broken heart. What comes with a broken heart, bro, becomes through trauma. My headspace was gone, was violence. And all I wanted to do was offload onto anything and everything. And so, people would say hi, I'd twist their words and think, you want to go? It became really... I went up beating up a couple of Mongrel Mob members, bro, at a game of pool, and they came back. The whole family came back with pickaxes and bringing knives and machetes, and I got tagged on the side after I chucked a couple of them out the window. And then one guy said, bro, your life is toast, bro. You better get out of here, man. They're going to kill you. So, I jumped on a plane with $500 and a broken heart, bro, and I said, see you later, New Zealand. Then
off to the big smoke.
Yeah, man. I thought, well, I've been to Australia before in the Navy. Yeah, it's a good idea. I'll just go to Australia. I'll get a job.
Most Kiwis do think that.
Yeah, King's Cross. Go to the red light, bro. And I ended up with.
So you ended up in Sydney. So you landed in Sydney.
Yeah, I got me a place up at the backpackers on Bayswater Road, bro, called the Hampton Court. And I ran out of money. I had $100 left, and I couldn't bring myself to ring home and ask for help, bro. And that's like most people when they're brokenhearted. First thing they don't want to do is expose themselves, even to family, even to friends, man, because of the embarrassment. Because that's what being hard-hearted does. Means I can work this shit out myself. I don't need any help.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You do this. I'm all good. Sweet, but you're really down. You're just like,
hit the pipe, have a drink, hit the pipe. Yeah, I'm all good.
That wasn't in my life right then, bro. And I ended up homeless. I ran out of money. And
So is
so
that in the King's Cross area?
I went down. I walked down. I found this park called Rushcutters Bay, right? And I found this cardboard box, and I put it the side of this bush. So I put it purposely in the bush so that no one could see my face, because I was embarrassed. I mean, I would see people that look at me walking past, but they can't see. The box shield my face.
Yeah.
In the morning, bro, on the public toilet, and I go a wash, and then I just sit in the park thinking, what the hell am I doing? I didn't even know there were places you could go to, soup kitchens and stuff that you go for. I knew nothing about homelessness, and so I just wandered the streets, bro. And I watched these Aboriginal kids steal stuff, right? And I made friends with them, and so they fed me food. I learned the language of the street really quickly, and bro. I was walking down the street past these nightclubs all the time. I was in good shape, you know what I mean? And these big Islander guys were like, how you going, bro? We're like, yeah, good. You want some work? Doing what? We're like, I don't really want to do security work. I've done that stuff in New Zealand. And he goes, no, you'll go for a ride with our mate in the morning. So I went for a ride with this big Māori boy, bro. We were traveling out towards Bondi, and he goes, under the seat there, bro. There's a bag there. I said, oh yeah. What's in it? And he goes, it's for you. Have a look. And so I pulled this bag out, opened it up. It was a 12 gauge sawn off shotgun, a balaclava, bro. I went, oh, haircut. What the hell's this? We're going pig hunting. He goes, do you give us the money? I went, on what money? And he goes, you can get out of the car if you want. Bro, I never got out of the car, He just said, good. And so that was my introduction, bro, into the big room.
Yeah, right, yeah. That was a sticky move. Well, so that was the introduction, huh? So they just fucking pulled you in the car and told you, go and do that.
I didn't realise we were going to go knock on the door and ask for money. These are heavy debt collectors, you know what I mean? And so, bro, the first thing I saw, knock on the door, boom, where's the money? Yeah. Heavy debt collecting. And so, very short term later, bro, then we were in a nightclub, right? And just come back from a couple of jobs, and the doors were rattling and shaking at this nightclub. And in the office, you could see the cameras on the outside, and there was all these guys with headsets, bro, banging on the doors. And the club bosses come down. And he goes, "Hey, he's going." And we're like, "I think there's some people at the door." And he goes, "Who are they?" "I think they're cops." And he goes, "What have you done?" "Oh, we just come from somewhere." And he goes, "You guys better leave now." And as we went to walk out the bottom of this car park, bro, there was a guy sitting there like this, right in the doorway. And we knew it was a cop, bro. I knew there were cops. As soon as I walked onto the up into Bayswater Road, guys come out with guns in the cars. Get on the ground. Bro, I got my first set of handcuffs on, which was an experience. Taken down to the King's Cross police station. Bro, and I'm thinking like this, oh my God, I've never been to prison before. Just like anyone, I know this to be true. You've watched many stories on going to prison, and this is my fear. There's going to be some big black man named Bubba, 180 kilos. I ain't getting banged in the ass by no black man named Bubba. Right, that's what I think. I ain't getting raped by men. So I thought, just fight them all.
Right, yeah.
Oh, you know what it's like, I got my first handcuffs on, and they go down to give you your clothes, and you go to these 100-man units, right? And you see all these men looking out the little windows like this going, and you'd be like, I ain't getting raped in the ass by no man. And guards up like this. And then I met the kingpin of the prison. His name was Raymond Curry. He ended up becoming a Bandito president. I still can connect with him now. He's just like us. He loves the Lord. He's not in the club anymore. And big man, him and I became good friends, and we trained. We pushed the heaviest weights in Silverwater prison.
Was this at Silverwater?
Yeah, right. And so I made friends with people inside the prisons, bro. And I made friends with this man named Bassem Hamzy, who's he's one of the notorious Lebanese gangsters. He's doing Life, the Brothers for Life. Their gangs in them. Anyway, when I used to run the gym, because most of the guys that were the officers they came out of the armed services, the New Zealand Army, or they're running the prison service. They'd be like, "Bro, weren't you in the Navy?" I was going, "Yeah." what are you doing in here? Oh, I'm not going to be in here for long. I said, oh, we'll give you a job at the gym. And so like this Bassam Hamsey guy would come past and he'd go like, hey, get us some sausages, because you used to run the barbecues, every day of the week, different pods, and I'd get him some sausages, and then next day, give us some steak, Owen. Oh, I'd give him some steak, and he goes, what are you in prison for? I went, don't be nosy. And he goes, no, I kind of like you, Owen. He goes, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon, and just you're really good to my boys. My boys like you. And he goes, I'll get you out. I said, I can't afford $200,000 bail. And he goes, no, I'll get my lawyer to come out and see you. Anyway, this lawyer came out to see me, this big shot lawyer. And then down at the Downing Centre, the court system, bro, and this other lawyer came down. He goes, who's Owen Pomana? I said, oh, that's me. And he goes, mate, oh, I don't know what you've done, but there's all these people with headsets and suits sitting outside your courtroom. I said, what's it got to do with me? And he goes, how do you know Hamsey? I said, oh, well, just give him sausages. He wants to put your bail up. Well, sometimes I'll give him steak. I didn't know. Well, it was an underworld figure, and the police were really on. But he was just my friend in prison. These are just funny stories I'm sharing with you.
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
And, when I got bail, bro, and there was a couple of Lebanese boys that were sent out from Bassam. They come and pick me up in a BMW, bro. I'd been in prison for a year and a half then, and these guys took me to Auburn for a kebab, and then they dropped me off at a nightclub, bro, with some other friends I'd done prison with. Were waiting for me, and bro, it was the longest 48 hours I've ever done in a meat locker. The good times, and I tried to escape, and I was trying to leave. I was wrecked off my rockers. You know what I mean? I'm like, where you going, Owen? I said, man, I've kind of like had enough. Had enough of what? Where are you going to go? I don't know. I just come from prison. Oh, yeah. Get back in the meat locker. You know what I mean? And so my introduction into the dark, seedy life of the underworld.
Oh, true. So that was sort of when you really got involved in the Sydney sort of underworld.
Yeah. But I also had a few fights in prison, so that was a benchmark for me. I mean, like anything, like if you got overpowered or beaten in prison, bro, even in a fist fight, right, your life's toast, your reputation. So for me, coming from the armed forces, bro, I learned some skill sets in fighting. I learned how to play with guns. I learned how to play with knives. And so,
so what was that 18 months in jail like, bro, for you?
Well, from the first thing, right, I had quite a few fights. You know what I mean? My friend would say to me, if you get beaten in any fight in here, bro, you can't sit with me. You can't sit with us. Your life is over. And I says, no, bro, I won't lose. And so, that was it. Through fear, I used the skill set in my Navy to survive. But all along, you just don't know what's playing out in prison, bro. And so, like, I survived that avenue. Like, it's like wearing a mask. You know what I mean? You just don't know what's going down, so you have to back yourself.
Yeah.
If you're weak in prison, man, and you get picked on, if you can't stand up for yourself, it's over. You'll sign yourself off and you put yourself in protection.
Yeah,
and so I made it. Right. There was always going to be friendships for me on the outside. People say, "Oh, I'm in prison with Owen," and so that was down there. You get a taste of the money, the girls, the good, what you think's a good life. And don't get me wrong, man, I've had some fun times, but like when you're starting to navigate through people who are powerful in the sense that can take your life, move things and movers and shakers in the community, then it's not the big guys 180 kilos that you really worry about. These guys that are 56 kilos that don't take drugs and they don't drink, that are hitmen, that you kind of like start to navigate through life. It's like you just don't know what people are into. So I became street smart. I learned the game without being too cocky or anything like that, because that'll be your downfall. You end up in a pit somewhere.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Also, so you served your 18 months. You made a couple connections while you were in there. And now you've been introduced to a whole bunch of different range of people now, the movers and shakers, as you've said. So, so what sort of happened? What was sort of how long were you out for? Were you out for long, or?
Yeah,
So you're out on bail.
Yeah, and then I end up getting 300 hours community service on top of my 1.5 years, and then yeah, it got to a stage in my life where they put me at this church, right? And I had no concept of God, Jesus, all that sort of stuff. Although I went to a Catholic boys' school, I wasn't interested in God, Jesus stuff. But
Yeah.
this is a stepping stone in my story that I can reflect back on. They put me at this church where all these heroin addicts used to sleep on the doorstep, and there was this priest called Father Stevenson, and I used to watch him, and I'm thinking, what are you doing with them crackheads? You know what I mean? And there's different categories of crackheads. If you're a heroin addict, and then you're just like,
Yeah.
you call them all names, but it was right for you to take speed and take pills. It was a different kettle of drugs, you know what I mean? And I sat him down one day and I says, what do you talk to them for? And he goes, oh, because God loves them. Oh. And so I was quite challenged by what I saw with him. I said, you're probably wondering why I've got 300 hours community service. He goes, not really. And so I told him anyway. I told him who I lived with, and he goes, could you ever walk away from them and that lifestyle? And I says, well, I don't know. They took me in off the street. I feel obligated. And he goes, well, you can't answer that question. You're probably not free. And I went home that night, and then I really dreaded 10 o'clock at night most of the time because these people would come in and usually give you a piece of paper, 10 o'clock right onwards at the middle of the night. You're visiting people in a car, knocking on the doors, usually people who are on the run, people owe money, whatever reason, whatever's written on that piece of paper, that's what you're sent to do. Go mediate and go and get get the result.
Yeah.
And so there's pressures, for what I was doing, because like you never want to come back empty-handed because it's all in the face, bro. When you go and do something, how'd you get on with that job last night? Oh, I couldn't find the person, or the person's around me, like. And
Yeah.
so like the overpowering of someone in a high position, right, can be it's quite hard. You know what I mean? When they say like, you remember what we did for you?
Yeah, they don't want
Yeah,
excuses.
yeah, I remember what you did for me. Oh, there we go then. And so like you live with that condemnation that you have to perform because of
Yeah.
for you. And don't get me wrong, bro, I never forgot what I thought was kindness and generosity, but what that was leading me into was in a deep rabbit hole of survival, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, there's a difference from having friends or business associates, or you having to do something out of obligation.
Yeah. And that's
So,
very hard to differentiate that, in that world. It's very hard to
yeah,
differentiate between those.
yeah, you don't want to
Um,
disappoint, because again, they usually, "Oh, remember what we did for you? Yeah, I remember what you did for me. How could I
yeah,
forget?"
yeah. And they yeah, yeah. Okay,
So I
so
broke free, bro, and I went to Queensland for a new start. And it was like a dog going back to its vomit, bro. I got around the nightclubs, the pretty girls, got around the pills and stuff like that. And then, bro, I was doing the same stuff with the same people, just a different state. So, give an example in Australia, bro, it all stems back to the same people. It doesn't matter if you're in Melbourne, doesn't matter if you're in Adelaide, Perth, they're all connected. Do you know what I mean? So, if you leave a bad trail of whatever, catches up with you.
yeah,
Doesn't
the
matter what state.
criminal world is very small.
Talks.
Yeah, and the higher you go in the pyramid of that world, the smaller that world gets. So everyone
Yes,
knows each other. You know what I mean?
you platform like this and speak openly about your past, and not have a backlog of people saying a guy's all shit,
Yeah,
or,
bro.
or
Yeah,
I did prison with Owen, I did Navy with Owen. So in my story, it's not to glorify my past, but to talk about a transition of a part of my life where I was so lost. But such an interesting story about survival, that in the turnaround, the later parts of my testimony, where I come to feel something like, this is what you do when you're running scared, when you're running with, you don't know what's happening around the corner, don't know what's behind the door, all that sorts of stuff. But like, there's no rest for you, you
yeah,
know?
no, definitely no rest. I mean, a lot of times in that lifestyle, the people you end up having to watch out for most are the people closest to you. You know what I mean? Once you are really getting into that sort of life,
Yeah,
because it
bro.
can switch really quick. A best friend can become an enemy really quickly, and they'll know everything about you. You know,
Is
so
that
it's definitely a thin ice that you're skating on.
Yeah. So I did a series of armed robberies on the Gold Coast as in reference to paying back some money, some really, really heavy people. And, you know, and my friends were in the firing line of actually the bad decision that I made to give to some people. And so I sent me on some work, and the work wasn't really that good. And what I mean by that is I banged over a house with, there were women and children in the house. They weren't supposed to be there. And so, like any good person knows, it's not really nice to even go and do an arm stick up on someone, and kids got to have a look at, you know, a shooter pointed to the old man's head. You know what I mean? It was something I'm not really proud of. Back then, it is what it is. And as a result of that, bro, my mental state went. I went to confront the people that give me the job, and they really didn't care. They're just like, "What do we want us to do about it?" But I threatened them, and then as a result of that, bro, I went for a fist fight, and I got hammered by 5 of them. I won't tell you what club it was, but I didn't have a problem with the club, but just the people that actually give me the work just never amounted to what I was sent there to do. And so, you know, as a man, I went to confront, and but the stupid thing was what I did was threaten the club. So the club responded in the way it did, and I got hammered. And bro, I pulled my eye out. They ripped my ear off. I got stab marks all over my body. I was that close to being wrapped up in a piece of carpet, bro, and taken out to the swamp as I was pleading for my life. I never had my gun on me that day, bro. I've always carried a gun on me, and thank God that I never had it on me, because I would have shot them all. I would never be able to get out of prison. So if you say God intervened, well, he did. Well, I got a beating at the same time.
He intervenes in strange ways.
Oh, bro, I mean, when I look at steel hammers, I know what they feel like, you know what I mean? And it brought me to the most brokenest place that I could ever be in, man. It was like, but this is my strange thinking. There's no way out of this. This is my warped thinking when you're on methamphetamine. Bro, I'm just going to kill them all, right? I've got no options. I've got no options now. My options are, I was just like, I'll just deal with them all. So when I was in the hospital, my friend came down and he started crying, you know, because he seen me, I was a mess, man. And I said, what are you crying for? And he goes, when's this shit going to stop? All you've done all your life was bullshit, which was true, man. He was speaking true. And this is how he cared for me. And I was like, man, I've just got backdoored. That's all I did. You know, trying to figure out my own mind how I'm going to work this out. So this is the stupidest thought. I'm going to get a hold of a rocket launcher, a 7.62 grenades, anything that goes bomb, bomb, right? And
Just little
28 grand.
Scarface, little Tony Montana kicking the door and boom.
Yeah, bro. And I thought, I'm just going to waste them all, right? And I locked myself in a room until I was insane. I could hear voices, bro. That's how messed up I was on this pipe, like 24/7, waiting for my mate. I rang him up to get me a rocket launcher from Sydney, and he actually got caught with 5 of them.
Oh,
And anyway, and as I was sitting there, again, God intervened in such a way. I'm not even thinking about God, but I saw this picture as I'm puffing on this pipe, thinking nasty stuff.
yeah.
I saw these kids crying. What are these kids crying for? And then they had no dads because I'd killed them all. And I went,
Oh,
that's dumb. The kids have no dads, you know what I mean? And I sat there on the pipe like this.
so you had a vision, basically.
Yeah, basically. And I thought, nah, next vision, comfort. I'm just going to ring my mum, which I hadn't spoken to for a while. And I rang my mum. She goes, how you going, boy? I said, yeah, not too good, mum. She goes, are you going back to prison? Yeah, I'm going back to prison. I said, you know what? My life is, I'm just wrecked. I'm just embarrassment to you. I'm sorry for my existence. She goes, come home. Yeah, I'll see you soon, eh? See you later. I hung up the phone, bro, and I went back to my drawer. I had mini guns, bro. I had lots. I grabbed the 45. I grabbed a case of Full Metal jackets. I grabbed my clip. And I started to load the clip up, puffing on the pipe, load the clip up. And I went down to the beach, bro. It was 12 o'clock at night. I chose 12 o'clock at night. It's no one going to be around, right? And I looked up into the clouds and I said, F you, God. Pulled back the hammer, bro, put it under my chin. Closed my eyes, I pulled the trigger and it went click. I went, boom, boom, into the ground. And then I said these words, God, if you're real, help me. I don't know who you are. If you're real, I'll serve you. right? That's the most insane. I'm talking to this God I don't even know, you know what I mean? And so when I went to sit down, bro, you wouldn't believe it. In my pocket was this lump, and I reached behind. What's that lump in my pocket? I pulled it out. It was a little Gideon's Bible. I don't know if you know what a Gideon's Bible is, bro. It's got Proverbs and Psalms in it. And I brought back a memory of a friend of mine called Benny. He used to come to my place, smoke crack. You came to my place, bro, you knock on my door, I always answered with a gun. Always had a gun on me.
No
And
hesitation, huh?
yeah. And my mate Benny knocks on the door, and I thought, whoa, this guy brings cool crack. He brings good cocaine, right? And I'm doing, hey, bro. And he goes, here you go, bro. I said, come in. And he goes, bro, I'm never coming to your place ever again. I went, what's that? And he goes, you're going to laugh at me, bro, but I'm going to church. I started laughing. Oh, bro, I started laughing. And I said, hey. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, bro, I got you a gift. I went, sweet. Give me some crack. Bro, and he puts this book in my hand. I said, what's that? And he goes, it's a Bible. What do you want me to do with that? He goes, you can read it if you want. I said, bro, why would I want to read that? So anyway, this Bible's in my hand. I look around again, make sure no one's looking. I said, God, I've never read one of these things before. Can you just speak to me? You don't read a Bible, right? I just opened it up, put my finger. This is where I put my finger in. Psalm 23. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I'll fear no evil. For you, O Lord, are with me. Your rod, staff, they comfort me. Bro, I don't even know what a rod and staff is. But the valley, facing some sort of death, well, bro, I was in that valley. So I thank God what that stuff meant. And anyway, God's got a sense of humor. Just to cut it all short for you, bro. He sent crazy people to my doorstep like this, Pastor Ken. This man was sent over to my house to pray for me, but my friend sent him over to get a beating because he had an argument with him. And so this old guy turns up my doorstep, and I'm like, hey, bro, this fella sitting out in your car out there. And he goes, oh, that's Pastor Ken. What do you mean, Pastor? He's a preacher. Does he want to puff on the pot? He goes, he's a man of God. Oh, bro, what you bringing to my place for? And anyway, my friend didn't answer. I opened up the door. He says, oi, come up here. And he walked up the stairs. He goes, yo, Owen. I said, yeah, that's my name. He goes, boy, I heard a lot about you. Yeah? What have you heard? Because I hear you can't sleep at night. You're always in trouble with the police. I went, well, you a preacher or something? He goes, yeah, man, I'm Pastor Ken. I said, listen, I don't mean to be rude. What'd you come here for? What do you want? He goes, don't be offended. I'll come to pray for you. But I started laughing. And I pissed myself. I sort of gun in my pocket. I went, what? He goes, you heard? Heard what? And he goes, he'll set you free. Free from what? He goes, yourself. I was going, look at this guy. I said, you're one of those crazy fella, eh? You're a crazy fella. He goes, yeah, man, I'm crazy as. Says, you want to come in for a puff? He goes, I'm not coming inside for puffs. He goes, like I said, I want to pray for you. I went, go on, you crazy man. Pray for me. Bro, he put his hand out and all he said was, in the name of Jesus. That's all I remember. It was like a big fist came out of the sky and went crack. One of my mates has come out of the room, bro. He's a madman. Sees me, this old man over the top of me. He pulls out his 9mm, points it at Pastor Ken's head and goes, how come Owen's on the ground? He goes, well, why don't you ask him? He goes, well, I don't need to. I'm asking you. How come he's on the ground? He goes, I just asked if I could pray for him. He goes, pray about what? Pray I want to have an encounter with Jesus. He goes, nah, man. He's a gangster, bro. Yeah. Anyway, when I get off the ground, bro, the pastor goes, would you like a hug? 12 years of bullshit, bro, in and out of prisons, dark places. I went, give him a what? He goes, you want a hug? What, are you gay or something? He goes, I'm not gay, but never give your telephone number, bro, to a pastor, a man of God, priest, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, they won't give up.
Yeah, bro, every day my phone would ring, right? I've got gangsters in my house smoking crack, and I'm looking at the phone going like this, going, it's that priest. They're like, it's the priest fella. Wants us to come sing and dance in the building or something. Just trying to turn the phone off. Whenever the doorbell would ring at our place, you know, because we live like vampires, right?
Yeah, bro. Yeah.
Whenever the doorbell ring at our place, if it was your turn to look outside of the curtain, that priest is always on our doorstep. You get, don't open the door. Don't open the door. That priest fella's on the doorstep. You know, the cross sign. And so all these gangs hide behind the couches. Bad men with guns, with crack, hide behind the seat. Shh, don't make a noise. That priest is outside. Bro, he'd come every day, right? Now I'm in the court. You know what court's like, right? You're sitting in there. Mm-hmm. it's real funny because they look like they got these little Captain Cook hats on, his penguin suits, you know what I mean? And I'm sitting in the dock like this, watching them talk bullshit about me, my lawyers, you know, and pay them lots of money. But in this particular day, bro, there's two little old ladies sitting on the right-hand side of the courtroom. No one else in the courtroom but me and those two old ladies, and they're smiling at me. I crabbed me out, I was sitting there looking at the front going, what's you looking at me for? And they're smiling at me. What's you looking at me for? We're doing my courtroom. And so I built up some courage there, and I went, are you still in the right courtroom? One lady goes, yeah, you're Owen. That's my name. We're Pastor Ken's friends. Oh, my God. It's the Christians, right?
The chaplains. It's the chaplains.
Christians, right? And I'm looking, he goes, do you know Pastor Ken? Yeah, I know Pastor Ken. What do you want? Like, he came to visit you the other day, didn't he? Yeah, he come to visit. What do you want? Like, we just want to come and support you today. I said, do you know why I'm in court? No. Listen, I'm not really a nice person. I've got guns. I'm a violent person who does arm stick-ups. I'm going to prison. I'm violent, and I smoke crack. I'm not really a nice person. The lady goes, do you know Jesus loves you? So, oh, my God. These are stuff. So anyway, bro, that night, I tried to crack onto the pipe. Oh, I felt so challenged. Pastor Ken, I never answered his phone call, but this time I answered in the morning. I said, what? He goes, is that on? Yep. He goes, oh, it's Pastor Ken. I said, oh, yeah. I was going to ring you last night. And he goes, well, what are you up to? I said, well, I done something real stupid last night, didn't I? He goes, what have you done? Try to smoke crack. And he goes, what happened? I said, you wouldn't believe it, man. I couldn't get high last night. And he goes, well, Owen, I've been praying for you. I was going, you been what? He goes, I'm praying for you. Oh, it's because of you I can't get high. Listen here, Pastor Ken. I'm going to tell you once for all. Don't ever come to my place ever again. I never invite you to my house. Don't ever send old ladies to the courtroom. I don't want to come and dance and sing in your building, right? Just go away. He goes, would you like to come to our house? You want to come to our house? What for? He goes, I want to take you somewhere special. And where's that? He goes, what is special if I couldn't take you? I said, I just told you I won't go anywhere with you. You don't want to see me angry, Pastor Ken. He goes, I'm not afraid of you. Well, should be. You're like, I'm not taking no for an answer, bro. You come pick me up. And he goes, gee, you got a nice stuff in your house? I went, everything in my house stolen. You can have it all if you want. I'm going to prison. He goes, no, we don't want your stuff. So bring me back to his place. He goes, you read the Bible before? Not interested. And he goes, I'll just read this. But I went away into the room, opened this book up. I don't know if you read an old King James Bible before. I looked at the words and went, what a dumb book. I can't even understand the words. So I just threw it on the ground. Only because he was kind to me, bro. I pick it up. Nothing registering. Then he knocked on the doorbell. It was 10 o'clock at night. And he goes, let's go. Go where? He goes, to the special place. Where's that? He goes, I'll take you. Yeah, it's like 10 o'clock at night, man. He goes, yeah. So we started to go towards the Coolangatta pub. I used to drink there. I got excited. I thought, oh, he wants to go to the pub. He says, you want to go in there for a drink? He goes, we're not going to the pub. Hey, we're not going to the pub. Confused, bro. I looked across out the window and I saw the neon lights. You want to go watch the girls dance at the strip club? He goes, we're definitely not going there. Oh, come on, bro. This is bloody ridiculous. So we got to this park, bro, and there was all these homeless people like I used to be. I knew they were homeless and I didn't get out of the car. I just sat there and he did what he did and come back to the car and I said, come on, man. It's 10 o'clock at night, bro. What's this about? He goes, you know anything about Jesus? Are you Jesus? He goes, I'm not Jesus, but have a look over the back seat, boy. What do you see? Sandwiches, blankets, and clothes. And he goes, you haven't met my wife yet, Owen, but she makes sandwiches every Friday night. We come out here in the hope that we could find people that were just lost in life. And I went, you don't even know their names. And he goes, that's okay. This is how my wife and others serve God. In that instant, bro, 12 years and a movie, sort of a picture in my mind came up. All the bullshit, bro, in my life, stick-ups and the violence and all the drug taking and all this stuff, bro. I could see my life. And I was so heavy, man. And I put my head down and I went, can you help me, Pastor King? And he goes, well, let me tell you, don't be offended, This is what I know about you. He goes, "You're a drug addict, Owen." Oh, yeah. Yeah, man, I'm a drug addict. He goes, "It looks like you've got lots of problems here, man. I got problems. I got big problems in my life. You're probably going back to prison." "Yeah, man, I'm going back to prison." Because "Do you have peace in your life?" "I don't have any peace. That's a never-ending cycle of bullshit. Always a set of handcuffs, always in front of the judge. Actually, I don't even have any friends. Just people come to my place. It's the same bullshit." And he goes, "Come on, we'll talk about it in the morning, eh?" In the morning, bro, I brought his big black book out, the Bible. I threw it on the table and I said, yeah, sorry.
Oh, all good.
Yeah, someone tried to ring me. And then I said, I said, "This is just crap. You know, I'm going to leave." And he goes, "Please don't go. You can stay if you want." I turned around and went, "Why is that?" And he goes, "You could stay my wife and I would love you." I went, "How could you love something like me? Can I ask you 3 questions about this God that sits up in the clouds that you know that I can't see?" He goes, "Yeah." "You told me God's holy, eh?" He goes, "Yeah, God's holy." "I'll tell you what, Pastor Ken, I'm not holy, bro. I'm messed up, man. You told me that this Jesus that you and your wife know loves people." He goes, "Yeah. Nobody told me they loved me when I was homeless in the streets of Sydney. Do you think this Jesus that you know could love something like me?" And he goes, "Yeah." The third question was, "Bro, I'm having a hard time trying to understand what you know about me. Pastor Ken, I've still got guns at home right now. I'm a violent person. I'm going to prison for armed robberies. Bro, I'm not worthy of your time, man. Why don't you pick somebody else on the park bench? I'm just messed up, man. I'll just disappoint you. I'm not worthy of your time." And he goes, "You're not going to understand these words, but God has a purpose and a plan for your life, give you a hope, give you a future." I didn't understand what those words meant, but I knew that he cared. And so I never just woke up and want to go to some building called church, sing kumbaya and call on the name of Jesus. Or like, oh, I had no idea of the language that they were speaking, but I knew that they cared. And so if that's what that Jesus in that book that I didn't understand looked like living in them, because I saw them feeding people like me in the street, well, I wasn't offended by what I saw. And I thought, shit, I need some of that. You know what I mean? Actually, I kicked the door down and I wrestled with the processes because, again, I was trying to understand what they wanted from me. You didn't want anything from me. They just wanted to see me live. He'd come out, "Do you want to come in the street?" Nah. "Do you want to sit down and talk?" Nah. That's what brokenness does. And I'm like, how can I tell you about my life story? I'm so embarrassed about my life. And so most of the time, bro, this pastor, he never tried to fix me there and then. He just sat there, and most of the time he just wept. And sometimes I'd share with him and just say, ah. And yeah, in the end, bro, I like what they did. And I thought, shit, I'd like to do what they did. So anyway, I wasn't going to prison, bro. I was looking at 15 years prison for a serious armed robberies. I ended up pleading guilty. This pastor stood up in front of the judge, man. I was about ready to get my handcuffs on. And he goes, "Those charges are not a reflection of who's standing in the courtroom today." My barrister was so embarrassed about him standing up. He said, "Please leave the courtroom." He goes, "No, not until I speak to the judge." The judge goes, "Actually, I want to hear what he has to say." And he goes, "When Owen came to us 3 months ago, he was pretty messed up." And he goes, "I want to tell you, Your Honour, I baptized Owen. I brought Owen salvation. He's going to become a pastor and evangelist one day. And I bought my fellowship with you today. And we actually really love Owen. And if there was any punishment that you're about to give Owen, could I be that punishment or even my fellowship?" So he's going, "I'll take the punishment. I'll go to prison for Owen." Man, I started crying. Nobody said nice things about me. I was so hardened in my heart. Do you know what I mean? All these TV cameras and reporters in there, anything to do with bad people, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So anyway, the judge turned around and said, "Thank you, Pastor King." He goes, "Most times when people talk about their transformed life, their change, I don't believe most of the people that stand before me, but I believe that your baptism is real. I believe your salvation is true, your conversion to Christianity. In fact, seeing your prison based on what that pastor said to me it's not going to serve you anyway. I believe you are changed, but there are consequences for actions, meaning that we can't have people who aren't police officers robbing drug dealers with guns in the community. I sentenced you 5 years, 18 months to serve with a lifetime ban from Australia." Bro, I didn't get 15 years. The judge had acknowledged Pastor Ken's transforming journey in my life. And so if I played up in prison, I'd have to do the whole 5 years, but I only ended up doing 18 months. Bro, it was so amazing, like God had stepped in. There is a consequence for action, but I was able to share my life story most of the people I spoke with in prison were a reflection of just like me. Something went wrong in their life. They just made the wrong decisions and choices. But deep down inside, many of the people say, man, I'm just a train wreck for my family. I stole, I've done these things to feed my family, whatever the stories were. But like, I was able to talk about the kindness and the generosity of what God was like living in people like Pastor Ken. You know what I mean? And so 10 years on now, bro, I've been still doing the same work as Pastor Ken, but I can tell that story without having to use religious words. I'm
Yeah,
rough
bro.
as gut. And
Yeah.
so I don't come with a package of really what religious people are, although I believe what they believe in. I've just been given a gift to be able to tell a story, to be able to allow people to make up their own mind what they believe in their life. But it doesn't stop me from becoming someone's friend,
Yeah,
regardless whether
bro.
you're Hindu or whether you're like Maori. It doesn't bother me. Friendship, bro, goes deeper than any connection with uh, any sort of religious belief. And so, like, for people to really consider what I do, the principles of what I do as a reflection of what I believe. It's kindness and generosity. I'm a
Yeah,
reflection of
bro.
what, he's so much more. Have I arrived in my place? Probably not, bro. There's things God looks down on. He's not happy with my life, but I get up and I'm compelled in the morning to get up and feed people, take people to court, help them out. If I can help them out in any sort of way, bro, like you, I do it in an instant.
Yeah.
I've been to 50 with an extensive criminal record. Um, People say, how can you travel the nations with 12 pages of criminal convictions? I said, well, nothing's hidden. You can Google my name, it'll come up everywhere. I never lied on my applications. I just can't go back to Australia because I'm a 501 just yet. But I'm believing. Yeah, bro, I'm nominated for the New Zealander of the Year, on the short list. And, people say there's nothing good out of these 501s. Well, look at my life. I didn't go back to my old ways, but I'm telling you that people that are lost, doesn't matter if it's a 501 or whatever, most people have never had someone to speak into their life, to nurture them in decision making, or they just needed a help and there was no one there to help them. And so this is what I've been able to do. And so there's many others that are doing great stuff as well, as to say, like, yeah, there's times in our lives that we went off the rails, but we can become good citizens too. I know that my mum's proud of me now. She's not offended at the things I do because my heart is to help people like that Pastor King did to me. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
bro. Yeah. Oh man, your accomplishments, bro. That's awesome, brother. Like, what was that? Sorry, you were nominated for.
Yeah, New Zealand Hero of the Year. So I'm one of
Oh,
10 people in Makoto, and then they do a short list coming up in January where people can vote. I'm not too sure how that operates, but whenever I tell a story about restoration, because I do community stuff, what I say to people is, I've got a whole lot of people that you probably won't meet or have never met that are part of these restoration stories. As in, like, I've got heaps of people that are in housing, life skills. So I'm just a voice for many people that
yeah.
work alongside me, I know, family, friends, and so without them, bro, these stories mean nothing.
Oh, bro,
And
that's awesome, man. Honestly, bro, like, when I first met you and you told me all about that, bro, fuck, I was hooked, bro. That's why I came around again and said hello. Just because I just respected you, bro, definitely for what you're doing. And man, I'm just trying to see myself doing what you're doing, bro. You know what I mean? Maybe through different avenues, like say this
yeah,
podcast, and because that's definitely what this podcast is about, bro. We're trying to empower people to do better. Maybe not push anything onto anyone, man, but just be the light. Be a light for people to look at and sort of say, "Oh man, I wouldn't mind emulating that." Because I mean, for us, man, if
is
we can see the darkness and still come out all love and light. I mean, anyone can do it, really, man. It's just, it's all in timing, I guess.
yeah. I think with yourselves, it's like looking in a mirror, brother. You know what I mean? We can all wear masks, and I've worn masks most of my life, whether it's for survival, whether it's for peer pressure to fit in, whatever. But the reality is, when there's no one else around, when you're having a look at the direction in your life, when you just true to yourself, and
Oh,
so
bro,
what do you
that
live?
is so true, eh? Because we can get so caught up in what's going on with the world and Instagram and
Yeah,
Facebook, and people just get lost, man, But the best way to help others I've found is just by bettering yourself, eh? By just,
yeah. You can't your own place unless you've been healed of those aspects. So your greatest victories in your life are going to come out of the darkness that you've navigated out of, right? And so there's principles and there's keys to those transformations. And most of the time for most people is as people came in and they connected, they started to influence in your life, and you take and pick and choose, what's applicable for you. And the reality is there's got to be an action behind something. A lot of people say, yeah, I'm going to do this, but then they don't follow through. Maybe they don't know how to. But the key for any transformation, bro, is to remain connected to people who can empower you.
Yeah,
When you hit
iron
the wall,
sharpens iron.
yeah, for sure. If you're going to hit the wall, you've got to be able to ring someone and offload, however it looks like. You can't navigate through this life by yourself thinking, oh, yeah, I've got the skill sets to be able to navigate through these. The reality is bullshit. We all need someone to speak truth into our lives. And it might not look good. Some of the things we're like, nah, man, you're an egg. You know what I mean? And so you take that with a grain of salt. And you can either run with it or live with these traumas in your head and not deal with the true issues or the root causes behind why you keep going back to the same shit.
Yeah.
Other people that are not in your life to actually look at it and just say, look, I'm neutral, but this is what I see. And then, some people's like, oh, that's just shit you guys talk about. Who cares? Lovey-dovey bullshit. But like the reality is, man, everyone wants to be loved. Everyone wants to live a life that's purposeful. Everyone wants to have a friend. Otherwise, it'd just be lonely bullshit, bro. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? They're like, oh, I appreciate all sorts of people in my life. Sure, I remember the fun times. I remember even some of the, in the dark times. And would I change anything? No way. I wouldn't be where I am today without those. I wouldn't want anyone to go through those same experiences. But, man, we start to build a network of people who are really cool. So you might meet tomorrow someone who's off rockers. They don't know what's happening in life. And you'd have a whole kitty or pocket full of stories where you say, you make no promises, but go and have a look at this story here or ring these people here. They might give you some advice or keys to whatever you're looking into.
Yeah. It's there. Networking is huge, man. Like people like us, we've got to stick together too. We've got to empower each other because you can't fill from an empty cup either. You know what I mean? You got to make sure your cup's full to pour into others.
Yeah,
man. I think we'll cut it there, Owen, if that's all right, brother. Bro, thank
thanks.
you for jumping on, man. Straight up, I actually told a few people I was going to interview you, and they were excited because they themselves had parents in the Navy who had heard of you. So, yeah, man. Nah, thank you a lot for jumping on, man. I definitely respect everything you're doing, man. Hopefully have you on again, brother. I'm sure we're going to get good feedback from this, and people will want to hear more.
Yeah, man.
But,
So good.
is there any sort of last thoughts you'd like to leave us with, brother?
Just there's restoration is in all aspects of your life. You know what I mean? If you're carrying bitterness or hatred in your heart or unresolved business, right? What happens is the trauma in your life will continue. It's an open door, an open gateway, right into believing false things about people. And so, like I said, for restoration, it's a very powerful thing where you can mediate or stand in and get closure on hard things that you've never been able to. Some people find it hard to just say sorry, to admit to things, but you come to that place of surrender. It's like, man, what's your legacy going to be like when you left this world? You know what I mean? We don't live for very long, but like to be at peace with just about everyone, even if they're dumb stink stuff, is it's a gift to be able to release people from their bullshit, or even ask for forgiveness. You know what I mean? It's not easy either, but it's all good, man.
Yeah. Oh man, thank you for that.
Doesn't mean you invite them over for a cup of coffee, but you can release people from their hurt and bitterness, whatever's going on in their life. Just don't know.
Oh man, I've released a lot of bitterness in my heart. You know what I mean? Yeah, I've released a lot. Like you, man, I made a lot of enemies along the way. So putting my face out in the public space, I have had negative feedback. People saying this and that. But man, I love all of them. You know what I mean? I love all my haters, bro. I love them all. Love and hate is just varying degrees of the same thing, really. You know what I mean?
Bro. There's other people not doors ever because I pointed guns at their heads. It doesn't mean they're going to believe that I've changed, and that's okay too. You know what I mean? And so, like, you deal with those things when you meet them. If I was to get a punch in the nose, I'd receive a punch, and no problem. It's all good.
All right, man. Well, thank you, Owen. We'll leave it there, brother. And thanks for jumping on the Fallon Show, my bro.
Oh, it's good, bro. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah, thanks, mama.